Hi guys, today I'd like to ask you to join me in performing a front split specific stretch routine. First exercise we'll be doing are elevated calf raises. The reason we're going elevated with these calf raises is because it gives us a chance to raise the intensity a bit on the bottom of the movement. So you want your heels to be almost touching the floor as you're going down. That really stretches the Achilles and the calf, generating a little bit more blood flow to the area. We're doing 40 reps of these, okay? 40 reps. Counting on your own, going up and down, keeping the legs straight. Once you're done with the 40 reps, we'll be sitting down, keeping our feet with our toes pointed to the floor, dorsiflexed that is, and sitting down on our heels, going into an arch stretch. This is a great stretch for the feet. Oftentimes the feet become very tight due to wearing constrictive footwear or spending a lot of time walking around or sitting up, standing up rather, and even just through life in general, feet tend to get tighter, unexpectedly so. It's often revealing to feel how intense this seemingly simple stretch is the first time you get into it, and a few tens of seconds have passed. Okay, so 60 seconds of arch stretch. Once that's over, we're going back into our elevated calf raises for another 40 reps. Okay? When we're doing the elevated calf raises, it helps if you're using something for balance. I'm using the ceiling in this video. It's easy enough for me to reach comfortably, but it works just as well if you're using a wall in front of you, or a bar, whatever it may be. If you're one of the few people who can do this exercise without any aid for balance, hats off to you. But for the purposes of this video, I think this is ample. Okay, we just want to get some blood flow going to the calves and the Achilles. Once your 40 reps are up, move the blocks out of the way a little bit, and go back down to the arch stretch that we did before. Another 60 seconds of this. And we're stretching the feet, stretching the arches. Really let body weight sink into those feet. Time's almost up. Once we're done with this arch stretch, the exercise we'll be going into is called Jefferson curl. We're going to be doing 10 reps of Jefferson curl. In order to get that done, we'll need to set the blocks up again and stand up on them. What you want to do is keep your legs straight and go down towards the floor, articulating your vertebrae one at a time, rounding your back. Okay, up and down. So you're rounding your back on the way down, and then doing the same movement but in reverse on the way up. 10 reps of these. Keeping your knees locked, your legs straight. It's a great exercise to warm up the hamstrings a bit and also to mobilize the back. Very, very pleasant feeling, especially if you spend a lot of time at a desk, maybe hunched over, maybe sitting down. Even if you don't, it still feels awesome. This exercise can be made a bit more challenging by using some small weights in your hands. That makes it so on the way down, the weights actually pull you down a bit further, going deeper into the stretch. Now the next exercise we'll be doing is a kneeling forward lunge to single leg pike. Okay. So on the way forward, you're focusing on stretching the hips and the quad muscle of the back leg. And then on the way back, you're focusing on contracting the quad muscle of the front leg and keeping the front knee straight. Keep your chest up as you're going in the front. Then fold and straighten the front leg. Switch sides. We're doing roughly 10 reps on each side. Back and forth. Really get those hips opened up. Hips, hamstrings, quads, calves, feet. All of these body parts need to be warmed up properly to get nice splits. Or to get splits at all, for that matter. Next exercise we're going into is a kneeling lunge hold for 90 seconds on each side. And what you're focusing on here is opening up the hips, stretching the hips, and stretching the quad muscle of the back leg. You can throw in some small pulses as you go up and down. That opens up the hip area, lets you go a little bit deeper into the stretch. Those tiny pulses really do make a big difference. Rather than just spending time statically in the stretch, they allow you to gradually build depth, go down further and further with less pain. Throw your hands up above your head. That takes you even a little bit deeper into it. Makes it just a tad more challenging. Okay, now switch sides. Get ready, and another 90-second hold. Can you see I'm using those pulses to go deeper and deeper? Trying to stretch the hips by going a little bit deeper, and also elongating the quad muscle of the back leg. The quads are an often overlooked element of the splits, especially the front splits. Once 90 seconds are up, reset the timer to another 90, and we're going into a straight leg standing pike. For the standing pike, you want your legs straight, knees locked. The way you can tell you're doing it right is by contracting the quads of both legs. That makes you push your knees back, okay, and it means your legs are straight. Don't lift up on your toes, but keep both feet firmly on the ground. Also, what you want to look for is not rounding the lower back excessively. You want to keep it fairly straight. This makes the stretch a little bit more intense on the hamstrings, and it's what you want out of this stretch. You don't want to just go deep for no reason. You want to be working the hamstrings and getting them looser and prepared for the movements toward the end of this workout routine. After that, we'll be going into a 2 squat, 2 pike. This means that we're doing 2 pike pulses, just so, and then going down into a double squat. And 2 pikes, 2 squats, 10 reps of these. The fact that we did a straight leg standing pike just before this exercise now allows us to go a little bit deeper in the pike movement of this exercise. So it helped us to get a little bit more out of it. Okay, now sit down, and we're going to be doing a seated pike fold for 90 seconds. If you think you can, add a little bit more length to your feet by attaching a yoga block or 2 to yourself. This elongates your body and adds a bit more intensity to your stretch. Again, you want the legs straight, knees locked, lower back as straight as possible. I have a long way to go in this movement. Ideally, you'd want the lower back so straight that the forehead would be touching your feet. Okay, so don't feel bad if you can't do it perfectly. If you see, I have a good 2 feet till I reach my feet. Added another block to help me go deeper into the stretch. Just relax, breathe normally, keep your legs straight, and slowly come out of it. The next movement that we'll be doing is a 90-90 stretch on the wall. So it's all based on 90 degrees angle, 90-degree angles, I'm sorry. There's a 90-degree angle between the shin and the upper leg of the front leg, and then a 90-degree angle between the upper leg of the front leg and the back leg. Then what's going on with the foot is that it's either in plantar flexion, pointing directly towards the ceiling, while the back shin is touching the wall, or it's in dorsiflexion, touching the wall, so the toes would be touching the wall and pulling themselves towards the floor. It's a bit harder to visualize when somebody's just explaining it. It will be more clear when I switch sides, but the version with the back foot dorsiflexed is a bit more intense, so it adds a little bit of intensity to this element. When someone's starting out, I like to encourage them to just keep the toes pointed towards the ceiling. Makes things easier, more straightforward. And switch sides. 90 seconds on each side, right? Reset the timer. So, back leg has the foot dorsiflexed, in my case. Okay? That's what I was talking about when I was making little to no sense earlier. You can add some small pulses, just like we did in the kneeling lunges. These help you go a little bit deeper, as I said before. Once we're done with these, if it helps if for the next couple of exercises you get rid of the mat and have access to a more slippery surface, or Alternatively, if you're working on a carpet, you can use some furniture sliders under your feet. And what you want to do is go into a front split with the front leg bent and with a yoga block just underneath the front leg glute. In fact, you don't want it right underneath the glute, you want it just in front of the glute of the front leg. Okay? And what you're doing is keeping your foot dorsiflexed and straightening and bending the knee. Straightening the leg all the way by contracting the quad, and then just bending it, doing this kind of pulsating motion for 60 seconds on each side. Okay, switch legs. So again, place the yoga block just in front of the glute of the front leg. Keep the front foot toes pointed towards the ceiling. Keep both feet dorsiflexed, but the front foot will be pointing towards the ceiling and the back foot will be pointing towards the floor. All throughout this movement, try to keep everything facing forward, so the hips are squared, and importantly, the back knee isn't flaring outward. You don't want it going out to the side, you want everything in a straight line. Now, next movement is almost the same, but you'll turn the yoga block on its short side, so going a little bit deeper into the stretch, and instead of bending and straightening the knee, what you will do is you'll keep the knee straight of the front leg, and you will go from dorsiflexion to plantar flexion on the front foot. Okay, so pointing the toes and then pointing them up towards the ceiling, pointing them forward and then up towards the ceiling. Just doing reps of that. Switch sides. Face forward. Front leg straight. Back leg also straight. Hips squared. And point your toes up and down. Forward and up. Forward and up. Just do that for 60 seconds on each side. As you get better with these, with all these exercises actually, feel free to throw in a few more tens of seconds here, a few more reps there, gradually over the course of months, which will take this workout from a 25-minute one to say a 40-minute one. Now that we're done with that, the end of this series is testing out how much progress we've made with the splits. So for 30 seconds on each side, we're just going down as deep as we can into a full front split, okay? If you can't take your hands off the ground and you need to use them for balance, feel free to do so. But once you get your splits, it's great if you can actually go down all the way and leave all your body weight on those hips. And other side. You might find that one side is much more mobile than the other. It's the case with most people, and it's the case with me as well. Go down, relax into it, breathe, and come back up. Okay guys, that's all I've had to show you, and I hope you'll join me in actually doing the thing. Thanks.